let's get into this, and then we'll
Correct.
yeah. All right.
Hey guys, welcome to the show
Welcome to the Campfire Podcast.
where we don't go on tangents and we stick to what is planned.
Do you want us to go on tangents? Because
We'll go on a
I
tangent
feel like
again.
you're baiting us right now.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes.
Episode 23 of the Campfire Podcast.
LeBron is number 23.
Is that your question?
No. My question is, if you guys have a loaf of bread and there's 2 pieces of bread at the end, please answer seriously. What do you call those last 2 pieces that have no soft part on
They have such
outside?
parts in the inside.
No, on the inside, yeah,
That's-
but not on the outside.
Obviously, the outside.
So what do you guys call that?
Bread.
In high school, we called them defenders
I call it bread.
Why'd you call it that?
because they're defending the whole loaf of
It
bread.
makes sense. I like that.
What did you call them? What did you tell me yesterday? Tell everybody your answer.
The butt of the bread.
Yeah.
It's the butt piece.
I'm sensing a pattern.
Yeah, thank
Does
you.
no one else call it the butt?
I'm glad you're
I've
noticing.
heard it that way.
Okay, Sander calls it the butt of the bread.
He said he's heard of it. He didn't
He said he's
tackle.
heard of it.
Usually,
all right.
usually you say things
I
you
don't
hear.
I've never heard it called any other way. Like,
Exactly. But I like the defender because it defends,
The good parts.
the good part, like the soft white part of the bread.
Yeah. And those were expensive. Like
Breads? I know you
Like
bought,
no, the
you-
defenders, because we like in high school, I was
Yeah.
the food dealer, and I have all the snacks, and those parts like the defenders were like,
Why
so-
are you dealing us powders?
so like no, it was like the normal slices were like 50 kwacha, which is like it's not that much money, but in Malawian money it's like a lot.
Yeah.
And then the defenders were like 2x, so it was like $100 for the defenders. So yeah, you wanted the defenders because they have more filling than the
Oh.
yeah. But okay, so episode has started. I have a special shout out to give.
Okay.
Special shout out to Grace. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she's been commenting on our episodes, and I love
Who
it.
is this person?
Grace.
Wyoming?
No, not from Wyoming. Gaze, is it? The Grace Gaze?
Oh, yeah. They're the youth group?
Yeah.
What?
The youth group.
She goes to youth group sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Alea's dance
Friend.
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one
Who
that.
Ethan and Sam
Yeah,
work
yeah,
for.
yeah. The one
Yeah.
Caleb works for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Grace.
he works for him? Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Painted
Grace.
glass.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember.
Yeah. She's been commenting and I love it.
Yes.
I look at the numbers, I look at the comments, I love it.
The interaction is great.
Yeah, I love the interactions. And another shout out to people that have walked up to us. Me and Zay yesterday had a great conversation with his dad,
Greg.
Greg.
Who's dad?
Greg.
Hezekiah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He was telling us about like how he loves the podcast. So like Rita too. Rita, she's been hitting us
Was
up.
that at the when we saw her at the wedding?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
She
And she had ideas for topics?
she hasn't taught us yet, but she
Rita,
said-
tell
yeah.
us, please.
Yeah, but we love the feedback. I think we agreed from the beginning that even if it was just one person would do this, if God called us to do it. So we are happy that other people are enjoying it and people are getting blessed. So thank you for the feedback. We love it. Riley, I think he's jealous because people don't usually tell it to her. They tell me and Isaiah. But sometimes if you see those 2 boys, just walk up to them.
Ask Riley for a signature.
Yeah. He'll sign.
No, that's okay. But I
Xander
understand
too.
because you guys do a majority of the work, and I think people know that. I just show up and
Yeah, you don't even
Say
know how to
dumb
put your own mic together.
no, I've done
He
it like
did it today.
3 times.
Did you do it today?
Wait, look at him. He's about to brag to say, I've done it 3 times.
He just asked if his mic was off.
How many episodes have we done?
23.
This is
Okay, I've
episode
done
23.
it 3 times in a row.
Wow.
Took you 20 episodes.
Took you 20 episodes. Good.
You want a
Good
gold
job,
star? I
genius.
can give you a gold star.
So the topic today, right? We're gonna get into that.
Yeah, all right.
So LeBron James paired with Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and Max. I forget his name. He's gone. What do you guys think?
I think you're retarded.
Ooh, wow. Isaiah. Wow. I think it's a great deal for the Lakers. I know you've been stressed for the past.
I watched a hype video for Luka and I felt better.
Okay.
Gonna
good.
be honest, I don't know who any of those people
He's still
are.
fat, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
LeBron is gonna die.
Get him in shape?
Yeah.
Okay. So today's topic is a suggestion from someone anonymous or someone we know. I don't know. It didn't come with a number.
That was weird.
It wasn't weird. It's just the way it comes in. But thank you for the suggestion. And the person suggested fasting. So I think we just call this one fasting and prayer because those two go together. We'll get into it. We'll try to dissect what are the God approved ways of fasting and what ways does he not approve. Why should you fast? When should you fast? I think we'll get through all those things. And
What is the purpose of fasting?
Yeah, I think
Does the Bible tell us to fast?
I think that's the why we fast, but purpose. Let's just call it. Let's just
What
call it
fasting is, what
Yeah.
fasting isn't.
I think Riley was saying he was gonna get into the when it started, so I don't know if he's prepared on that, but let's get into this. So fasting, boys. Fasting and prayer. Right now we're just doing fasting.
Ever done it?
Riley has lost 10 pounds. He wasn't fasting. He
I
was pretty sick. So
But I was praying.
He was fighting his demons.
but he was praying, but he wasn't fasting. He lost his appetite. So
for life. No, for food.
wow. You don't have to get that dark.
Yeah, it's like borderline suicidal right there.
So
I just don't
thoughts.
understand jokes.
Sometimes you just say things
Sometimes
and
the
you think
jokes
they're
just-
funny. Sometimes you just say things. They're not jokes. Let's just get that out there. Yeah. What are thoughts? What did you guys find out during your research? What verses came up in your prayers or in your time with God and looking at this topic?
I think just like from what I know about fasting, I think I'll give a little backstory for like what I thought fasting was. And I thought like fasting was strictly just like giving up food for like a day. But I didn't know that there was like many different types of fasting, and it can be like translated, or you can see it a lot of like your heart posture when you're giving up things for the Lord and like tuning into who God is and like just setting things aside. Like for me, like I think something that like is good for me, like whenever I want to like really like tune in and ask God like questions and things, like is I will do like a way of fasting is like instead of like giving up food, I'll like purge myself from like any social media, any music, anything from the world that like I would usually like indulge in like the daily, and I would just cut it out of my lifestyle and say, hey, like God, like I don't like I'm here, and like I don't need to have anything going on, any other things going through my head. Like I just want to be here and hear your voice and see who you are and know you. And I think that's like my view of fasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Riley, who are you stalking?
Nobody. I'm looking something up.
Who are you looking at?
Something on the internet.
What is that something?
Just about fasting.
All right, Isaiah.
Is he doing his research right now?
Yeah, he's probably he's like going into
6:16 through 18. And when you fast, do not look gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces, that their fasting may be seen by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. I think like that, like fasting is like a self-discipline to like beat your body into submission almost, to like not give it what it wants.
yeah.
And I think it's like a daily reminder, right? Because you're not eating, so you're hungry, right? Your body's wanting food, so your stomach probably hurts. You probably don't feel the greatest, but it's like the constant
You're
reminder.
dizzy. Your hand, you're shaking your hand, dude. When you're hungry, sometimes you're just like whoa.
Why is it doing it by itself?
I know. All right, go ahead.
I think that it's like a reminder though, like for you to be praying, right? Like I think the purpose of fasting is to like get closer with God and remove distractions. Kind of like what Sandra was saying, move things that you like in your life. Not necessarily that are bad things, but it's removing the distractions away in your life.
Yeah.
And then, not boasting about it and telling everyone, I'm so humble. Look at me. Like Riley
wow.
was doing. But I think it's
I'm here for it,
It's-
though. I don't hate it.
it's not parading in front of everybody saying, "Look at me, I'm fasting. Look at how cool I am. Look at how holy I am."
Yeah.
What book was that you read from?
That was Matthew 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think just to like piggyback what you're saying about like self-control, I think if you go to Galatians 22, Galatians 5:22, not Galatians 22, there's nothing like that in the
I was
Bible.
gonna say.
Yeah, you were.
What kind of Bible you reading?
So if you go to verse 22 and 23 says, but the fruit of the Spirit is, whose thing is that?
It's not mine.
Zaya, turn off your Android. It says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. And I think like you're saying, like it's a way of like beating your body and your mind into submission, into like self-control. And I think fasting creates that self-control of like you're training your body to like, because we as humans, I mean, I know from experience that the two of you, Zay and Riley, you guys love food a
Hard
lot.
to fast.
Yeah, so like your body, because I know Riley, because I haven't lived with you, but I know Riley, his body's constantly in need of food. Like he has to be eating something every 20 minutes or else he's gonna probably just lose 20 pounds more. So it's like you're denying your body the thing that it craves and it desires to say, I want to dedicate this time I could be eating, or like Sana says, like on this time I could be on the internet watching movies and doing all these things. I'm dedicating this time to God. And I'm taking, like, this is a time of need, like, right? So, like, your body needs food. You're taking that need for food and you're saying, God, meet me in my need for these things. You bring your vulnerable self to, like, I'm weak. I can't do anything. I can't lift anything. So I'm just going to bring my vulnerable self to God and ask him to meet me in my, like, weak moments. And like, just to, like, repeat what you said, basically. And then, like, you read from Matthew 6 too. I had that on my notes. I'm not complaining that you stole my notes. It's fine. I love it. If you go to Matthew 6, like, Jesus is, like, he's speaking, and, like, there's things he's mentioning. It's, like, prayer, giving, and fasting. And, like, before, like, in chapter 6, in my Bible, the title says, do good to please God. And then in verse 5 to 15, Jesus basically gives out the mode of prayer. And then from 6 to 18 is talking about like the right way of fasting, and is calling out the hypocrites of the time. And I was listening to this guy who was talking about, like, I was listening to a Bible Project thing, and they were talking about like what a hypocrite was. A hypocrite was just like an actor on stage, like doing something. And like as they already read, it says like, so that you do not appear to men to be fasting, but your Father. No, it says. Verse 16 says, moreover, when you fast, do not be like the hypocrites with a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces, that they may appear to men to be fasting. Assuredly, I said to you, they already have their reward. So it's like saying, like, if you do these things for people, that's your reward. You're going to get, if you're doing it for fame, if you're doing it for recognition, you're going to get that, but that's all you get. You don't get anything else. And then, in verse 18, it says, so that you do not appear to men to be fasting, but your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees you in secret will reward you openly. So it's like if you do these things for like fame, public, like for other people to think, wow, you're so Christian, you're so holier than thou. Like Jesus is basically saying, that's all you're going to get. You're going to get all the praise. You're going to get all these people saying, wow, look at you. But you don't get nothing else. But if you do it in private, if you do it in a way that's pleasing to God, if you do it for God, not for other people or people's praise, God will reward you in the open. And I think that's like one step, like that's the first step of doing, like as Anna says, like you're trying to build your relationship with God, and you do that by doing things for him because of him, not just like, I want to do this so people can think, wow, look at Riley. He's fasting like for 30 days. Wow, he's so holier than me. Yeah. Riley, what do you think?
Oh, I just lost it.
Oh.
Well, Mika and Niall will. My first thought is I had 2 questions. And
Your first thought was 2 questions.
Yeah.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah, we mentioned it right in the beginning, but what is fasting and what fasting isn't? So I listen to
Festin.
I listen to Festin a lot, but I also listen to
It's not good.
It is sometimes.
That's not good.
But I listen to John Mark Comer. He's a teacher, he's a pastor. I think he's from Portland, but recently he moved down to LA. But he has a really cool teaching series on fasting, and he has a different teaching style from what I usually listen to. But I really like how he gets his points across and how he goes back into the history of fasting, how it started, what it looked like for the Israelites, what it looked like in Jesus' time, what it looked like even going from after Jesus to maybe the 1500s when he was talking about how fasting kind of became less practiced around then. But just a practical definition. Oh, man, I lost it. I had it.
Technology and Riley.
Yeah.
Like water and oil, they don't go together. They don't mix well.
Dang it. Wait, should I
They don't mix
my-
at all.
Luca, like Riley and technology, NBA trade line, transfer day. Is it deadline? I don't know what you can call
Yeah,
it.
they made a trade deadline. Something got messed up.
I've seen this play out
You know those
so
old
many
people
times.
with like technology and they like don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
at
I
all?
keep going back trying to
But
find
I
it.
understand the kid went to school on a DVD player, so I understand. I understand why technology is hard for him.
Yeah,
He
his
doesn't know how to
computer
use
was a DVD player.
Doesn't know how to use a computer, so I don't get why you would know how to use a phone. Give him a DVD player, he'll tell you
Okay.
everything.
I'm just gonna go off of memory. I don't think I need it.
That's okay.
But fasting is staying away from food and water. You're giving that up, and then abstinence is like giving up other things, and it goes along with the the Catholic practice of Lent, which is prayer, fasting, abstinence, giving to the poor, things like that. So with Xander, like I wouldn't disagree that giving up things like social media, or maybe it's surfing, maybe it's just any time you wanted.
Weightlifting.
Yeah, maybe it's going to the gym. If something is becoming too important, it's good to give that up. But like looking at the biblical definition of fasting, I wouldn't call it fasting. Just like fasting is just something specific, but it's very similar. It's just not food and water. So it's definitely a good practice and it's worth doing. But and then why do we fast? Why do we give up food and water?
There's a lot of reasons. I'll get
Yes.
into them, but I want to read Isaiah 58 because I think it's a good chunk of it's 14 verses, but I think it goes well into fasting and like how to do it and what not to do. My Bible has the title of Fasting That Pleases God, and then I'll just read it out, and then I don't think I can explain it more than the Bible says it. So it says it's better than I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to read it and see. And you can read it for yourself if you're listening to this, or if you're watching this, you can just pause the video, pause the episode, and just go read what Isaiah 58 says. But it says, Cry aloud, spare not. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Tell my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness and did not forsake the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching God. Why have we fasted, they say, and you have not sinned? Why have we afflicted our souls, and you take no notice? So they're talking to God. That's what it is. In fact, in the day of your fast, you find pleasure. I think this is God responding. He says, in fact, in the day of your fast, you find pleasure and exploit all your laborers. Indeed, you fast for strife and debate, and to strike with the fist of wickedness. You will not fast as you do this day, to make your voice heard on high. Is it a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head like a bulrush, and to spread out sackcloth and ashes? Would you call this a fast? And an acceptable day to the Lord. Verse 6, it says, is this not the fast I have chosen, to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and that you bring to your house the poor who are cast out? When you see the naked, and you cover them, and not hide yourself from your own flesh, then your light shall break forth like the morning, your healing shall spring forth speedily, and your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry, and they will say, here I am. If you take away the yoke from your midst, the pointing of the finger, and speaking wickedness, if you extend your soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then your light shall dawn in the darkness, and your darkness shall be as the noonday. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your soul in drought, and strengthen your bones. You shall be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail. Thus from among you shall build the old waste places. You shall raise up the foundations of many generations. They shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of streets to dwell in. If you turn away your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy day of the Lord honorable, and shall honor him, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words, then you shall delight yourself in the Lord, and he will cause you to ride on the high hills of the earth, and feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father. The mouth of the Lord has spoken. And I think just like a good summary of what you are about to say of like, why do we fast? Or like what's the right way of fasting? And I think it's just like summarizing of like, people fast and then like they call it the Sabbath, and then they're like doing other things like building their laborers, or like indulging in pleasures that did not please the Lord. And then God is like when you fast, do these things that I'm giving you and not these things. And I think that's like the perfect, I mean, there's other reasons we can get into, but I think that's like the perfect summary of what God requires from our fast, which is we're giving up everything that pleases us to delight in him. We're giving up all that we want to be in close proximity with him. Yeah. Well.
So, yeah, from verses 6 to maybe about 8, when it's talking about, is this not the fast that I have chosen? And it's talking about loosing the bonds of wickedness, undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, share your bread with the hungry. If you see someone naked, cover him. And then things like that, just things that like good things that God has called us to do. Like from, if you've when you're studying this, do you think it's just calling you not to be focused on yourselves? Like how the Pharisees were so focused on themselves and fasting and what they were doing, but to be focused on what God wants you to do? Because like when you eat or when you buy food, prepare food, it all takes time. But if you're really setting that time away for something, are you just going to mope around and try to find a big group of people so you look holy, or
Like, oh man, I'm
Yeah.
so hungry. Why not? Why did you? Oh, I'm fasting.
Man.
Oh,
You bring it up.
thank you for asking.
Thank you for.
Yeah.
Do you need any prayers? Like, you know what? How about no?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like all the focus is on someone else and it's not on yourself.
Yeah.
It's not what you're trying to get from other people, but what you have to give.
Yeah, and I was talking to a friend this morning. Like, she just like what you're saying, like the focus of prayer. And this friend was, I asked them like, what are your thoughts on fasting and prayer? And they were like, well, I have this good pastor, and the pastor said, the point of fasting and prayer is fasting and prayer and nothing else, right? So
Found.
I know. I was like, dang, that's so good. So it's like the point of fasting and prayer is fasting and prayer, nothing else. So that's like we fast and we pray to God, like nothing else. You know, like, oh, I'm going to fast. And then just like, wow. There's other stuff. I'm just like I was thinking like yesterday, I was thinking this morning as I was getting ready to go to my first day of the job. I was like before I moved to America, I didn't think people just like fasted for healthy reasons. Like what I knew about fasting was just like you fast to pray to God and nothing else. You don't just fast like, wow, I'm fasting to lose weight. I'm fasting to get rid of this. I was just like in like growing up, like all the people that fasted or like our church fasting was just to pray to God and dedicate that time to God and nothing else. That was just a realization I had this morning. It's like before moving here, like I only knew fasting as a thing you do to God and pray for.
Because in the U.S., it can be more common to hear about it from like a doctor or like a fitness influencer or something like that, or a health
Isaiah?
doctor. Yeah, like Isaiah, intermittent fasting.
And you, don't say
Things
just
like
like
that.
Isaiah. Look at the way he's looking at you after this episode is done.
Isaiah's looking at.
You guys are fighting
He thinks
in the
you're
parking
He
lot.
thinks you're scared of me.
I'm gonna go to my truck.
Look at see, he's scared of you. But yeah, and then what was I gonna say? You said something and it reminded me of something else that I was gonna say.
About Isaiah 58 or
No,
Verse 6.
let's just move on. I'll
Okay.
When my thought finds me, I'll find it and give it to you guys.
Yes, I can't wait. Yes. But what I was thinking about too was, where's the first mention of fasting in the Bible? And
Please don't steal my verse.
are you going to talk about Exodus 34?
No.
Okay, good. Because it's in Exodus 34, and it's
Oh yeah, I
Moses-
am. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you scared me. It's in Exodus 34. And so earlier in the book, when he came down from the mountain and God gave him the tablets, and then he saw like, oh, now they're all worshiping another God that they just had made, and he threw the tablets because he was mad. So Moses is getting the new tablets. So God told Moses to cut 2 tablets, like the first one, and he's going to write on them again, the same things he wrote. And so he does it, and God calls him up to the mountain, and God is just going over the same things about the stuff he had already gone over, about the covenant that he wants to make with Israel, and not to worship gods. He's a jealous God, not to sacrifice to them, the kind of like consequences of their sins too, if they fall into idolatry again. But it says in verse 27, then the Lord said to Moses, write these words, for according to the tenor of these words, I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. So he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He neither ate bread nor drank water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. So he was with God up on a mountain for 40 days and for 40 nights, which, if you look at the numbers, it's the same as Jesus when he was in the wilderness and he was being tempted. He was getting ready for his ministry, like probably spending a lot of time in prayer as he was fasting, 40 days and 40 nights. And it's just, there's so many different connections between the Old Testament and the New Testament. But
Can you stop moving your chair?
Yeah. But when I think
It's
when
like your dad's here.
I don't know. Yeah, banging on the
Banging
table.
on the table.
Yeah, I like the armrest though.
Don't
just
touch-
move back.
Yeah, move back. Please.
But what stood out to me is when you're in God's presence and you're so close to him, he's all that sustains you.
Yeah.
He is more powerful than death. He is more powerful than how our body works, than our need for food or water, which you can last a lot longer with food than without water. And so to see him go 40 days
Did you mean to
without
say you can last longer without food than with water? Or
Oh yeah,
Don't-
you're right.
okay,
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to be right.
If you don't give water, then you're gonna die. But to see that when you're in God's presence, you're right there with him. He's all that sustains you. You don't need anything else. And there's a story of Elijah also, where Elijah is freaking out because Jezebel is mad at him and wants to kill him, and he wants to die, and he's just like lazy, napping under a tree and stuff, and an angel appears to him and gives him some food and some water, and he doesn't really help, so he just naps again. And then the angel comes back a second time.
Gives him more food and water.
Yeah, more food and water.
And
It
it's
says,
like,
hey,
well, rise up and go.
yeah, you need this
Yeah.
for the journey. And it said he went in the strength of that food for 40 days and for 40 nights, that
Yeah.
food and water.
Yeah.
So I would think it would mean he also fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. What God provided sustained much longer than what anything naturally can for
Yeah.
man.
Well, I think I will let Isaiah go because you just spoke of Elijah and he just put up the same story. So I'll let him
Yeah, yeah.
make his point.
In Isaiah's words.
I was just thinking, like, it reminded me of a story in Elijah. It's not the same story Riley was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good.
But I got scared for a second when he says,
Yeah.
there's a story of Elijah.
I know how I felt last episode.
But it's about when Elijah is hiding and he's talking to God, and God, excuse, I'm just going to read it.
Is this 1 Kings 18?
19.
Oh, 19.
Yeah. I'm gonna read it instead of trying to explain it. 'cause
We brought it up last week. Was it for the fear episode, right? 19? I think so.
I don't remember.
Wow. So memorable. Go ahead, read it.
All right, so this is 1 Kings 19. I'm going to start at verse 19. Nope, not 19. 10. And the word of the Lord came to him. What are you doing here, Elijah? He replied, I have been zealous. I have been very... Wait, no. I'm going to cut that part out.
I'm not.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, the beginning of 19 is the story I just told.
Yeah.
So we're like twins.
We're
on the
like-
same
we're like right-
wavelength.
Booyah, baby. Anyway,
How do we make our fists touch in the camera?
you're punching Sandra in the face right now.
Because we're on, like, you guys are on
Here,
top
I'm
or
gonna be
something?
below you, so just punch down, maybe. That was really stupid.
Go ahead.
Whoa. All right. Read
Okay,
it.
back to what we were talking about. So the story is Elijah, right? He's fleeing, he's hiding, and he's talking to God, and God comes in, earthquake, storm, but he doesn't hear any of that. He hears him in a small whisper, a still small voice, and I think that's kind of what fasting is too, is taking away all the distractions to hear that small
Wow.
voice.
Ooh, preach, Isaiah. Go off. Pop off, King. Go ahead. I'm sorry I touched you. Just got excited. That was good.
God speaking to you in the
No,
still
I
small
think because you
voice.
have, especially today, we have all these distractions. Like Sandra was saying.
Yeah.
We have your music.
I have a loud distraction that I live with.
I have
Are you gonna
I have a
fast from?
friend
Are
like
you
that.
gonna fast from Riley?
I should.
Abstain.
But I think it's taking away all those distractions to focus on that small voice, because it's not going to be right in front of your face all the time, right? If ever. So it's taking that time to like actually be thoughtful.
Yeah. And I think to just like piggyback on what you're saying about like in the moments where you're giving up food and water and you're fasting, and I think you're relying on God to sustain you like it should in the everyday life. It's not just like when you're fasting. It's like every day of your life you should be like relying on God to sustain you in your moments of weakness and in your moments of strength. You should be like, I'm giving up myself. I'm giving up my body. I'm dedicating to the Lord, and it's gonna sustain me no matter what happens. To get into why people fast, here are examples I found in the Bible of reasons why people fasted. Excuse me. Ooh, exciting. The first example I gave is from Acts 14:23. 14:23. It says, gosh.
It's really thirsty.
I'll read from 21 to 23.
That was all Red Bull.
It says, and when they had preached the gospel to that city and made many disciples, they returned to the Syria, Iconium, and Antioch. 22, strengthening the souls of the disciples, exhorting them to continue in the faith, and saying, we must through many tribulations enter the kingdom of God. Verse 23, which is what I was getting at, it says, so when they had appointed elders in every church and prayed with fasting, they commended them to the Lord in whom they had believed. Right, so like they said, these are the people we wish to lead the churches. And then, but like they said, we're commending them to God, and God is going to guide us on which ones to choose and which ones to lead the church. And
they prayed and fasted.
Yeah.
They had the decision to make.
Yeah, like they're giving the decision to God, and that was like you fasting to seek God's wisdom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're fasting to seek His guidance and like direction on what to do in life decisions. Like that's one. Check. Fasting for grief. So if you go to Nehemiah, I was when I looked this up, I was like, oh, I haven't read Nehemiah in a long time. I haven't heard anyone be like, dude, I was reading Nehemiah and this is what I got. So if I find it, it might disappear from my Bible.
Where is this guy? There he is.
Dude, it's like
What verse is it?
Nehemiah 1-4.
You want me to read it?
1-3-4.
1, verse 3 and 4. Yeah, you can read it. Go ahead.
And they said to me, the survivors who are left from the captivity in the province are there in great distress and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down, and its gates are burned with fire. So it was, when I heard these words, that I sat down and wept, and mourned for many days. I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven.
Yeah, and like the point with this one is that if God has put someone, if you see someone going through something, or God has put someone who's broken, or like someone
It's like
who's
a tragedy.
Yeah, like someone's going through something, and God has put it on your heart to pray for them, then this is what Nehemiah was doing. He was grieving and like crying, and he was distressed, and said, I'm just gonna fast and pray to God for peace. So you're praying, you're fasting for peace through hard times for you, for other people. Because I think sometimes I don't remember what I was listening to, but I was like, some guy was like, what if like the amount of times people said, I'll pray for you, what's the equivalent to really praying for that person? Just like, I'll pray for you. I'll be praying for you. Like how many times did you go and pray for that person 10%? After you told them, I'll be praying for you. And I think this is like a perfect example. Like Nehemiah was like he wasn't there personally, but it's just like it grieved him for the people that were there and what they're going through. And he said, I'm just going to pray and fast for peace for these people. And then if you go to Jonah 3, brother Jonah is back, chapter 3, verse 5, and then 10, verse 10. With Jonah. Jonah, where are you?
You want me to read it?
Jonah 3, verse 5. I'll read verse 5 and then you can read verse 10. It says, so the people of Nineveh believed God, proclaimed a fast, and put on sackcloth from the greatest to the least of them. And then if you read verse 10.
When God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil ways, he relented and did not bring on them the destruction he had threatened.
Yeah. So this is like you're fasting for repentance, right? Like you see, like these people are like, we believe and we're going to give up everything that we've like grown or like we've grown into and we've grown to believe. And we're just going to pray that God turns away his wrath that he has upon us. And God is like, well, I hear you. And I'm going to stop. I'm not going to destroy you. I'm not going to like just wipe you off the face of the earth because you've believed and you've shown your dedication to me. And then if you go to Joel, another book that's like, whoa, I haven't heard about that guy in a long time. If you go to Joel 2, verse 12 and 13, Isaiah, you have your computer, so you should get there faster than us. Help us.
You say Job?
Joel.
I'm there.
Joel.
Yeah.
What is it?
Joel.
What chapter? I know it's Joel.
2, chapter 2, verse 12 and 13.
Oh. Now therefore, says the Lord, turn to me with all your heart, with fasting, with weeping, and mourning. So rend your heart and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and he relents from doing harm.
Yeah, so that's like another example of like, God is like, turn to me and like turn from your ways and fast and like weep and pray for forgiveness and ask for forgiveness. And it's also like another part of like if you're going through something or if you're struggling with like something that's bothering you or a sin that's taking you away from God, you could just fast and pray. Like Xander said, it's like if your phone is the one that's making you like fall into temptation and end up sinning, then if you leave that home, you go up the mountains and you fast and you pray. I'm not saying it might be more on that idea of like going up the mountains with his soul and cutting firewood by himself.
Not eating or drinking.
Not eating and drinking.
Him and God killing. No, God's not killing the trees. Isaiah is.
Growing his hair out.
Yeah.
Living like John the Baptist, eating locusts and honey out there.
Why is he wearing a camel skin?
But yeah, that's like, I think that's a good example of like you coming before God and giving up all these, like Isaiah said, like noise and all these distractions and concentrating on God and asking for forgiveness. Like we've seen that God will forgive you and he'll come through for you. If you're going through something, he'll come through for you. Another thing I wanted to mention, like as why people may fast, like you mentioned already, with like Jesus, like before his ministry, he gave up, he gave up food and water and God sustained him. And that was at the beginning of it.
While being tempted like crazy.
Yeah, like that was the beginning of his like earthly ministry. Like as Riley said, earthly ministry. But like, for example, in my own life, I've seen like Pastor Enoch, the guy that ran the orphanage, like still runs the orphanage, when he goes out to like mission fields, like to show the Jesus movie and preach and encourage other pastors around Malawi. Like he'll fast before like he goes on those missions because he knows like, hey, sometimes like we don't have any money to fund this whole mission. We don't have any money for fuel for generators. We don't have money for the cars. But I know God is going to come through, and he fasts and he asks God to come through. And sometimes it's like last minute, like within the 24 hours, like mission is tomorrow. He's always like, I'm still going. If he doesn't want me to go on this one, I won't go. But until tomorrow, until the minute that I decide to pack that truck and start on this mission trip, my plan is to go, and like God comes through like for him more times than he can count. Like I didn't have money for this. We didn't have money for food. We didn't have money for fuel. We didn't know how many people were going. We didn't have Bibles. We didn't have like everything in order, but we fasted and we prayed, and God came through. And then a friend mentioned this to me in the mornings. Like she was telling me like she didn't she grew up in a different like culture, not culture, but like different religion, and fasting was was never mentioned in the religion. And then when she like found God and started following Him with that relationship, she said something that encouraged her was like a corporate fast, like other people fasting, seeing other people fasting, seeing like getting encouraged by them. That was like, oh, this is something we should do regularly. And another guy was mentioning that like Jesus doesn't say when you fast. He says if you fast. Like
He says when.
He says when,
Yeah.
not if.
Yeah, so he expects it.
Yeah, it's like something we should do regularly. Thank you for correcting me. It says like if.
Wanna
no,
do-
no, I don't want to do that. It says like when you fast, she's like it's something we should be doing regularly instead of like, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before, Jesus says, when you pray.
Yeah.
Of course, we say, oh, Jesus expects us to pray.
To pray, yeah.
But then here in the U.S., does Jesus really expect us to fast? But
Should I give up my Carl's Jr.?
no, not your
My El Diablo.
yeah, your double Diablo. But
I got home with the Diablo.
it's like, where the heck did you get that thing?
Right was back on judging me with my foot. Are you gonna eat all that?
Not
Because he wants it now.
judging.
He
I
knows
was
he's not
just
doing his
wondering.
little diet thing
yeah.
anymore.
No, he offered it, and I was like, that's too spicy. That could cause some problems later.
I didn't want those problems. But yeah,
Me
that's
neither.
what I had for this episode, like just from me. I don't know if you guys have any.
Yeah, I have to add on to Matthew 4. So it says, then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil, and he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Afterward, he was hungry. Now, when the tempter came to him, he said, if you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread. So the first thing, after Jesus had fasted, when he was hungry, the first thing that Satan used to tempt him with
Was food.
was food. It wasn't throw yourself off of this or bow down and I'll give you like everything you see before you. It was food.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis 3, now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Satan's first temptation to Eve was, shall you not eat of this? He had used food to tempt Adam and Eve, which was also how God had said, do not eat this. But when Romans talks about how through one man sin entered the world, so through one man we're cleansed from our sins. There's the first Adam, the second Adam. Adam called the Son of God, Jesus the Son of God, who came down to earth. He conquered the temptation that we as humans couldn't, which was food. It's super interesting how Genesis 3, Matthew 4, to find that correlation. Shout out to Quincy. She shared this with me from the Bible Project too. They do a really good job. So through what we are tempted with, no matter if it's when we're fasting or anything, we know that Jesus can give us the strength to get through it because he's proved it.
Yeah.
All the way back to the beginning, to the time of Jesus, he conquered it, and he gives us that same power.
Quick question for you then. If you fasted for, I don't know, I can't say 40 days. Let's just say 5 days. And someone came with,
Do I have water?
no.
Oh,
Someone came with like the best steak in the world that you've ever seen
okay.
and frequency water. They're like, eat this and tempted you with it.
Well, how long am I trying to fast for? Only 5 days, or
I just said.
so? Am I done with the fast, or
Yeah, you're done with the fast
Oh, if I'm done with it, then yeah, I'll have it.
for anything. You do
What do you
whatever
mean
they
for anything?
Because they're tempting you. They're not doing this out of the
they're
goodness
not
of their
they're
heart.
not just giving it.
No.
Oh yeah, okay. I wouldn't do that. I would say no, thank you.
For steak
I will
and frequency
not-
water?
I will not fall into sin for that.
Yeah. But yeah, is there closing thoughts? Xander, closing thoughts?
No, sir.
Yeah. Just to share a highlight my day from yesterday. I showed up to the beach and Kai and Roman were like, dude, you look like the Black Bob Ross. I was like, oh, look at me with my hair and my Hawaiian shirt. It's like, dude, you look like the Black. They said it in like unison. It's like, wow, look at you guys. You guys are brothers. And I'm thankful for this compliment. Oh, yeah. Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope it encouraged you to fast and pray and not do it for people, but do it for God. As always, we appreciate the shares, the likes, the subscriptions,
Yeah, go watch the video on YouTube.
the comments. Yeah, we have videos
It's
now.
so interesting. Me and Isaiah, we do like this pound it thing, and it's gonna be edited, and there's gonna be like
I don't think
an explosion.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Feston's head is gonna blow off in the explosion.
Okay.
It's gonna be lit.
Thank you very much for everybody that comments, supports us, and just we appreciate everything. Thank you very much.